What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Beginner Bike Giveaway series. Today we are taking care of one of the most annoying things on the CB650R, and it's the weird little power dip. And we're gonna be using...
We got a DynoJet Power Commander 5.
That's the newest one, right?
Yes, so my bike's previous experience with Power Commander, I've used the Power Commander 3, which required a whole bunch of wiretaps. This is literally all plug and play. There's no, the only thing that is a tap is just directly to the ground on the battery, so it should be real easy.
So let's get started. We're gonna explain what exactly the Power Commander is gonna be doing to this bike, why we're doing it, and then let's have some fun. Let's install it.
All right, let's do it. So we have here the Power Commander 5, which is the next generation of what I'm familiar with, which is the USB Power Commander 3, which required a whole bunch of extra work. And this actually is super, super simple. We have here, these are going to be ECU plugs. So it'll go, the harness side will go in here. Actually, no, this will go into the ECU, and this will intercept the signal from the harness here. And then we'll have, I believe this is power. And then this may be some sort of fuel controlling thing. I haven't actually read the directions.
But why read the directions? We don't need it.
It's really very simple. And all it really is doing is it's intercepting the signal from the ECU on the bike and running a new fuel map through this little brain and telling the engine this is how you're gonna do it. Because the ECU has one pre-programmed map, which obviously is not right for this pipe.
Yeah, because the big reason we want to change over the ECU is because we installed this beautiful full Leo Vince on it. And once you do that, the air to fuel ratio is going to change because now you're obviously pushing out a lot more air, a lot more combustion out of these exhaust pipes because it's a lot less restricted than you had with the stock system. So you need to adjust it and give it a bit richer fuel map to make sure that it is all working correctly, because we don't want any engine explosions.
Yeah, and I mean this literally will just plug directly into a computer. So we'll be able to look at and change point for point what we want if needs be. Obviously we're just gonna find the right map, but you know, later on down the line, if we wanted to say increase low end power, we just richen up the mixture a little bit. Or if we find that there's a spot where it's just kind of bogging down, we can lean it out. Yeah. It's really easy to use.
It's a lot more flexible of a system than just keeping the stock map on there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool, let's get into it. All right, so the seat is off and we've got access to, I think, most of the stuff we need, but a couple of the position sensors and other things are down in here somewhere, so we'll get access to them.
So the toolkit lived right there, and we're thinking that the DynoJet's literally going to sit right in this little convenient cutout, and then the negative lead will hook up to the battery right there. Everything else will run under the frame into the guts of the bike.
Yep, pretty simple. Let's now unhook the gas tank here, give us a little bit of leverage, and then hopefully it gets us access to everything.
I think we may have to pull these side panels off, but beyond that, it really is not. I mean, there's nothing else to take off, so.
Right. I'm already imagining we're gonna get some shit for this situation, but I've done this so often, like to just like prop it up.
That's what I do.
Yeah, it's whatever.
It's what everybody does. Calm down, stop typing the comment.
Everybody's an armchair mechanic on the internet.
So we've done all of this good stuff. We're skipping 4 through 6 because that's all like the final securing bits and bobs.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go straight to 7, which is unplugging the fuel injector sub harness and adding our own from the Power Commander.
And it says this is a black 6-pin connector, so it's going to be one of the beefier ones found under there.
There.
I think I see it right there, yeah.
Yup, and then after that, it is PCV wiring harness, which looks like it is more or less in the same spot.
Yeah, it's looking like something around there. Yeah.
And then
again, we need to be mindful though, because like even though this is the same engine as the CB650R, some things might look a little different here because this is the naked version.
So we just need to make sure we're counting the pins. And
yeah.
The main thing that we need to take away from this is not to forget to unplug the throttle position sensor and plug in our own. So.
All right, let's do it. This appears to be 100% plug and play, so I think on the install difficulty rating, it's probably pretty low.
Mm-hmm. What we did is this guy was connected right here. And so what we've done is this is the harness for the Power Commander, and we are intercepting the signal in this wire and introducing our own. So that's why that looks like that.
Yep.
So in there, you can see this is our harness here. This is the crankcase sensor, which we have intercepted with our own signal. And it used to live literally right in there. And so we've routed the wire up and over. So that's that one done. Now we got to do the throttle position sensor.
Easy enough. So we finished plumbing everything back up nice and neat. We got all the bolts back together, gas tank is on and all that. And now we have the dyno jet hooked up to our computer doing some danger to manifold shit over here, Fast and Furious style. And as we can see, when Spite moves the throttle, we are getting throttle reading, which means that we did at least one thing right.
Yeah, that means the throttle position sensor is reading correctly because it's not seeing 100% throttle, but I think after a calibration, I mean, there's not really a difference between 100 and 99%.
No, it's fine.
The main thing you want to see here when
it reads it.
Is that it reads 0 when it's closed. So if it's constantly going back to 0, that means that it's correctly calibrated.
Yeah.
If it's not correctly calibrated, then it'll be sending more fuel because it thinks it's at like 20% throttle or something like that, even when it's at idle.
And now what we're gonna do is turn the bike on and then get the correct map loaded onto there via the Power Commander. So let's do it.
All right.
So really quick to explain to the audience, we've selected a map that's pretty close to the system we have. So on the DynoJet's website, they have a bunch of different tunes for different setups with this particular bike. So you'll have tunes for stock exhaust, stock air filter. You have tunes for like a full Acra system with the stock filter, Acra system without the dB killer with the stock filter. So what we did is we went through and found one that was as close to the Leo Vince system we had as possible. So we have no dB killer, pretty full pipe. We looked at a couple photos online of systems that look similar, and because it's a full exhaust stock air filter, that's the one we're going with. So that's what we'll be doing.
Yep.
So whenever you're ready, I'll fire it up.
Just pulling the maps now. Send it, see what happens. Map sent successfully. So in theory, it now has it now has the new tune on there.
Maybe turn it on and see what it does. That's cool.
So it's now going through its warm-up cycle, which is why the idle's high. When it's hot, that idle number will come down. But you can see what's going on here.
Yeah.
If we were to have it on a dyno, it would pull up our gear position and our speed.
Yeah. Now the one thing we noticed is that it didn't pull up the fuel map right here. Sorry about that.
No worries.
And so we're not able to see right now in a graphical format what the air to fuel mixture is at any given RPM.
Because normally what it'll do is it'll throw a table of RPM and engine speed, or RPM and actual ground speed, and it'll that would show you your percentage of fuel change over stock.
Yeah.
But we're not seeing that right now, which is a bit of a bummer. I can smell the exhaust is different.
Oh,
smell
really?
it?
Yeah, a little bit. So the thing is, even though we can't see the map, it did say it was sent successfully.
Yeah, so our map was successfully sent to the bike.
We gotta go test it.
The only way to find out is to go test it.
Yeah. So with that, let's get her out on the road. Alrighty guys, we're out here, bit of a muggy day, but we are now testing the new Power Commander we put on the CB650R. Spite has decided to take out the DRZ because he is now a DRZ boy himself, and he's trying to get the dual sport juices flowing. I guess yours is a Sumo, so you're not really.
Yeah, I've got the DRZ SM, and I'm just getting the feel for what a bike is meant to ride like, since I'm basically rebuilding some of it.
Yeah, you should throw up a picture of yours in the video so people can see it.
Sure,
so it'll be featured in a video later.
Yeah.
But yeah, today, I mean, we're just gonna, we just finished up the install in the garage, which actually only took about an hour, which was really nice, and then now we're just gonna cruise around on the CBR here in the hill country and just see how it feels. Surprise, surprise, it feels pretty good because we wrote it in here, so let's do it.
Sounds good. So how's it feeling?
The throttle's feeling really smooth. The thing I always look for in a tune is the on-off throttle feel, because I feel like that's really where it's make or break. Because if it's calibrated correctly, and like we were mentioning in the garage, the zero position is set correctly, the on-off throttle feel should be extra crispy, extra smooth, because that's the point of a tune. But you were saying that behind me, you can smell how rich it is, right?
Oh yeah, so I'm we'll call it 2 car lengths back, and I can definitely smell the pipe. Now some of that is because it's not filtered anymore because it's a full system, and some of that is because I do believe that it's just running a little bit rich.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, in my opinion, it's better to be rich than lean.
100%.
But, you know, it would still be nice if we brought it back down, because it means we're burning more gas than we have to.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, and I'm not an expert at air to fuel ratios and tunes and that kind of stuff, but if I remember correctly, having a really rich mixture means that you get more of those pops and cracks because the gas ends up unburned or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you're trying to get a tune in which the exhaust does stuff that's more kind of poppy and crackly, you know, definitely go a little bit more rich. And like Spite said, going more rich definitely is better than going lean. Because I'm trying to think, going lean blows up your engine basically, but going too rich, what are the consequences of that, do you know?
Going rich, you're going to leave a little bit of, you're going to have less gas in the tank because you're just sending some right out the pipe. So your fuel economy goes down. Similar to being lean, a rich mixture can foul some spark plugs. But the engine runs colder if it's rich, which is interesting. If you have a super lean bike, you can actually melt your head gaskets because it's just running too hot.
Right.
So again, it's better to be rich than lean. And the beauty of these Power Commanders is you can just download another map and put it on there and then go test ride it and see. You know, it's super, super easy to do. Literally all you do is you just plug as you saw in the video earlier, you just plug your computer in and then click open map, send map, and it's done.
Yep.
And then again, if you want to get all danger to manifold, you can go in there and manually adjust. You can add or remove some fuel from different parts of the rev range, and it's a pretty convenient way to do it if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and again, I would not recommend that to someone who's maybe it's your first time doing a tune on a bike or something like that. Definitely go with the most plug-and-play setup you can. And as you guys saw in the garage, you know, as long as you read the instructions and look at things carefully and plug things up correctly, it's a pretty easy install. A couple spots here and there, you might need some delicate fingers to get into the spots, but overall, a pretty simple install to just plug and play and then load up your map and have some fun. So if you're thinking of putting an exhaust on your motorcycle, especially a full exhaust, some slip-ons, I'd say like, you know, 60 to 70% of slip-ons work after the catalytic converter, and so you don't really need a tune for them. It's just going to kind of make your bike a little bit louder. But when you go with a full system like this, where you've removed the entire catalytic converter, you only have a resonator in there, and you've removed the dB killer like we have, you definitely want to put a tune in it so that you don't run lean, like Spike was saying.
Absolutely. And another thing to mention is, you know, since it is so plug and play, if you don't like it, removing it's not difficult. You literally just pull it right out. And, you know, you can take it to any place that's dyno tuned ready, and they'll tune it for you specifically to your bike. And one of the cool things about some of the DynoJet forums is, and your bike specific forums, is people will go get their bike tuned and then they'll just post their map online and be like, use it, go for it. People aren't very possessive about their tunes, which is really cool.
Yeah, and that's why I think it pays huge dividends to you know, whatever bike you get. Find that local forum, find that like very bike specific forum, because I'm telling you, whatever it is, unless you bought like some super esoteric motorcycle, there's probably a forum for it. Like, I know that there's a Triumph Daytona 675 forum. They segment them out specifically by generations too, so people often have questions, the same ones you have, and have already been answered. So Google is your friend, and like Spite said, you could probably just like look it up, and then you don't even have to really participate in the forum. It's better if you do, but you don't even have to. You could just kind of lurk through the forum and get the answers you need.
Yeah, it's amazing what people do in biker forums specifically. They share so much information. Very
giving, very giving.
Which is why it's good to not just lurk. So if you give a little back. Yeah.
I feel like our Discord is kind of an all-purpose forum in that way, you know? Like, people often have questions on there and everyone's trying to jump in and answer. I feel like sometimes we're a little too helpful, like too many people try to jump in and answer the question.
Yeah, you get a little too many cooks syndrome.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find a spot here that opens up a little bit so I can test the mid-range on this bike, because one of the big things, as we mentioned in the garage, that we're trying to fix on this motorcycle with the tune was to get rid of that mid-range dip in torque. Spite, if you want, you can throw up on the edit here that dyno graph that you put in the review video of that small bump in torque of it. And what we're trying to do is solve for that with this Power Commander. So I think we're about to open up here a little bit, and I think the road's going to split into two, and we'll be able to kind of wouldn't say wring it out, but I just kind of want to see between 4 and 8,000 RPM what it's feeling like now. And then definitely get Spite on the bike too, so he can feel it, get a second opinion on it. So I think it's pretty much about to open up here. Let's get a little bit of a pull going. Yeah, to me, to my butt dyno, to my throttle hand, it feels much more linear. I don't really feel a big dip anymore. Because it's a 4-cylinder, you still have, like, you know, very low torque in the bottom end, and then it kind of builds in power, but that's to be expected. That's the character of this motorcycle. But right now, I don't feel that dip anymore, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted to get rid of. So now it feels nice and linear.
Does it feel like it's making any more power? Because, I mean, that's the big reason people do this.
Yeah, it feels a little quicker. I don't feel a huge difference, but it does feel like it pulls, I would say, maybe 3% harder, if I want to be super exact.
Heading up to the library, get ourselves some knowledge.
Get some knowledge. This Lamborghini's pretty cool. But you know what I like more? Knowledge. Alrighty.
Saw you avoid them. I specifically tried to hit those bumps.
Yep. Alright, jump on the CB and let me know what you think. I feel like it's running pretty damn smooth. That's a great sound, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's a lot of gas in there.
Oh yeah, I can smell that. Or this might be the DRZ, I don't know.
No, it's not. The DRZ's off. One thing we found too is there's a shift light there.
Yeah, we did notice that on startup. We need to look into that because apparently there's a shift light on that bike, which is pretty sick.
Yeah.
Here, give the CB a little bit of a pull. Let me know what you think.
Oh yeah.
Nice and smooth, huh?
Yeah, and I actually hit full throttle there, so it's feeling a lot more. It's very linear. It's so linear.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that mid-range dip is all but gone.
And when you're letting it just sit kind of on the boil about 6,000 RPM, and you crack the throttle open, it really, oh boy, does it want to just go. Yeah.
You know, it's funny, I think I know what you mean now with the CB running so rich that it's running cool, because the DRZ feels nice and warm.
Yeah, and the CB is like...
ice cold. I wouldn't say ice cold, but kind of chilly, yeah. I died. Just that DRZ life.
Oh yeah, this thing it loves having that tune on there.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds so sick.
It's like now it feels a bit more hooligan-y.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's making significantly more power. Maybe like a little bit.
That's what I was saying, right? Like it pulls a little bit harder, but nothing where you're like, whoa, this really woke it up. I don't really feel that way.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm gonna drop just a little bit once we get around this corner.
I'm out of gas on the DRZ.
Are you?
Yeah, I gotta switch to reserve.
Freaking dinosaur. The classic comedy of errors.
I love that as soon as I got on the DRZ, it ran out of gas.
Right there.
Oh my god. I almost just left without putting my goddamn gloves on. How did I just do that?
It's the DRZ, man. It wants you to be a squid.
I was about to take off, no gloves. I've never done that before.
The squid life, it calls to you.
It calls, shit. Yeah. I'm just like, hold on, man. Let me bust out my flip flops real quick.
The correct DRZ apparel.
Yep.
Something in here's buzzing. I think right in here. We may have to.
You feel a buzz?
Go back to the garage and like press on it all. Oh, dude.
It's such a sweetheart, isn't it?
It feels so much better with that tune. And maybe it's just in my head, it's that placebo effect. Oh, it needs to feel better because it has the tune. But seriously, somehow it feels smoother. It sounds healthier, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny, people say that too. It's like, oh, like the tune didn't do anything, it's a placebo effect. But, you know, the placebo effect is real. Like, there's been so many cases where people have, like, been cured of diseases just because they, like, thought that they were cured, you know?
Yep.
Like, it happens. So if the tune makes you feel better, then it did its job, you know?
Exactly. Now it's just... It's done. It's done. What more do you need to do to it other than tank grips? The thing's done.
And the tank grips and tail tight that is it. Yeah, it is just done so. Such a good bike.
And it's really not doing too much popping, which is nice.
Yeah, I think it's doing less than it did before we put the tune on. Like, if you rev it up and then let off the throttle, like, pretty much to zero, it'll pop pretty much every time, which is really nice. But other than that, it doesn't do a whole lot of pops and crackles. To be honest, for being a full system with no DV killer, it's actually not that loud.
It's really not. It's a tame sound.
Yeah. Like, my Scrambler without the exhaust DV killer on it was way louder than that bike.
Yeah, I heard it from like a quarter mile away.
I remember that, yeah. You're like, were you near the library that one time? I was like, oh yeah, I was. And of course, we all remember the god-awful noises the CB650 made with that Dan Moto pipe. That was probably the loudest bike I've ever owned, ever, at any point in my life. That was so loud, dude. It was so loud it was embarrassing, you know? Like, I was like, I don't want to be seen on this thing.
Yeah, because it's just head-splitting.
Get some cool rolling shots of you on the bike. Yeah, that thing pulled off like a rocket.
Oh yeah,
that's sick.
Oh dude, this thing is like, it's just it feels
it's very good, isn't it?
Right now, it just is better and better every time we do something to it.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
Now for me, what I do is a little bit taller bar and maybe a little bit wider, just so you can kind of like really kind of turn that bar into a corner and dip it down.
Yep.
But that's just me. Because it just feels so good. It feels so good. I'm telling you, whoever gets this bike is a lucky, lucky boy. Because,
oh yeah,
good grief. And it's just crazy how, at the end of the day, easy it was to get this thing on there, you know?
Yeah.
We had to futz around with it a little bit, and we had to use your dainty hands where my big freaking meat hooks wouldn't
tiny,
fit.
delicate, never seen manual labor in a day of their lives hands. My fleshy, soft pink office hands.
But it was so easy to do. You just had to identify the right thing.
Yeah.
And if you got two brain cells to rub together, it's not all that hard.
No, it's I mean, the instructions are really clear and laid out. It's pretty simple to do. Alrighty guys, well I think that's gonna wrap it up. I think the tune on the CB was pretty successful as compared to both of our butt dynos. Feels good, feels smooth, and it's pretty sweet. What do you think, Spite?
Yeah, totally. And I mean, just sounds very good.
Yeah, it's a ripper for sure. Now everyone thinks we're a bunch of squids now because he did that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Remember again, I know we mentioned it in every video. I don't think I mentioned in the beginning, but click the links below, find out how you can win that bike for free, the Ninja 400 for free, or this DRZ 400 for free. Get access to our Discord server and all kinds of cool stuff. So thanks for watching. Catch you guys on the next one.